Boiler Room 6 of the Titanic, 11:40 at night. Leading fireman Frederick Barrett is standing at stokehold 10, talking to the second engineer, when a bell rings and a red light comes up over his head. The crash arrives in the same second. Water comes in through the starboard side, 2 feet above the plates. You know how this story ends. Everyone does. What you probably don't know is that for the next 2.5 hours, 25 engineers kept the generators turning, so that every lifeboat that launched under electric light. Not one of those men survived. This is the sinking of the Titanic, the night of April 15, 1912, told from the one place the story almost never goes, the bottom of the ship. Britain carved 4 words onto their memorial: remaining at their posts. The men who came back up the ladders alive told a different story. Here's how the events actually unfolded that night. Far below the first-class staircase, Titanic was a coal-burning factory. 29 boilers, 159 separate fires. Though on this crossing, only 24 of those boilers were lit. The last 5 were to be fired a day or two before New York. At full output, they could burn 850 tons of coal a day. On a crossing like this one, closer to 600. Either way, it went in by hand, a ton every couple of minutes, around the clock. Feeding them took about 290 men. The black gang, the stokers and trimmers who worked the boilers. Firemen worked the furnaces. Trimmers barrowed the coal out of the bunkers. Greasers kept the machinery from seizing. 4 hours on, 8 hours off, in stokeholds that ran past 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The trimmers had the worst job on the ship, and the lowest pay on the ship. £5.10 a month, 10 shillings less than the firemen they were shoveling for. About 900 crew signed on, 700 of them out of Southampton, though Joseph Bell, the chief engineer, lived up near Liverpool. Aft of the turbine, in its own watertight compartment, sat the other half of the operation. 4 generating sets, 400 kilowatts each. Between them, they ran 10,000 light bulbs, the boat winches, and the wireless. More electrical current than a good many towns had. 2 things about the coal in those bunkers. First, there had just been a national coal strike, so White Star scavenged coal out of other ships in the fleet to get her out of the dock. Second, some of it was already on fire. A bunker fire had been smoldering since before she sailed. They sailed anyway and put men on shifts to dig the burning coal out at sea. And one thing about the boats, under the 1894 rules, every British ship over 10,000 tons had to carry 16 lifeboats. Titanic was 46,000 tons. 10,000 or 46,000, the requirement was the same 16 boats. The Titanic carried 20, more than the law required. None of this was a scandal at the time. It was just normal. One more normal thing, and nobody in the boiler rooms had any reason to think about it. The watertight bulkheads, the walls that were supposed to save her, stopped at E deck. The forward ones went 1 deck higher. Not high enough. Thomas Andrews, the man who designed her, had wanted them carried higher. He was overruled. For 4 days, that didn't matter. 11:40. Barrett is in Boiler Room 6 with James Hesketh, the second engineer. 8 firemen and 4 trimmers are working the plates around them. 6 is the furthest forward of the 6 boiler rooms, closest to the bow. A bell rings. The red light comes up, and the crash arrives in the same second, so close together that Barrett never separated them when he told it under oath. Water comes through the starboard side, 2 feet above the plates. Months later at the inquiry in London, they asked him where the water had come from. He replied with, "Well, out of the sea, I expect. The watertight door is already coming down." 25 seconds, top to bottom, with a bell ringing under it the whole way. Barrett and Hesketh go through into Boiler Room 5 while it drops. Then Barrett goes back. Every boiler room on that ship had an escape ladder built into it. That was a requirement. Nobody was sealed below. That image comes from the films, not from the inquiry. So he climbs up and back down into 6 with a junior engineer named Jonathan Shepard. There is 8 feet of water in it. 6 is finished. The ship has been damaged for a matter of minutes. Now above them. This is the part everyone thinks they know. In every film version of this night, First Officer William Murdoch throws the engines into full reverse to swing the bow clear of the ice. Fourth Officer Boxhall swore to it. Asked at the British Inquiry what the telegraphs indicated, he answered, "Full speed astern, both." Asked if that was immediately after the impact, yes. But Boxhall reached the bridge after the order was given. He saw the dials. He didn't see the order. The men standing at the other end of those telegraphs said something else. Barrett, in 6, saw the red light come up. "Stop!" and shouted to shut the dampers. Frederick Scott, a greaser, said the indicators went from full to stop and nothing in between. Thomas Dillon, in the reciprocating engine room, gave the sequence. Telegraph, shock, engine stop. Then astern for about a minute. Then stopped again. And Lightoller, the second officer, told the Inquiry, "I cannot say I remember feeling the engines going full speed astern." Here is what makes it worse. The center propeller was driven by a turbine, and that turbine had no reverse. None. No astern blading at all. It ran one direction or it didn't run. So throwing the wing engines astern would have shut the center propeller down completely, and the center propeller was the one pushing water across the rudder. Reversing wouldn't have tightened that turn. It would have ruined it. Murdoch had been at sea most of his life. He'd have known that. And he had about 37 seconds. One officer who arrived after the fact. 3 men standing at the machinery. Which testimony would you take? The engines stop, and 24 lit boilers keep making steam with nowhere left to send it. Pressure climbs. The safety valves lift, and steam tears up the escape pipes beside the funnels. Lawrence Beasley was standing on deck. He put it as 20 locomotives blowing off steam in a low key. Third Officer Pittman thought it went on for 3/4 of an hour. Here's what that meant, and it's the part most versions of this story skip. For the first 45 minutes after the impact, while the boats were being uncovered and swung out, the officers on the deck were working inside a noise that made ordinary conversation impossible. The boilers didn't only power the ship. For 3/4 of an hour, they made it nearly impossible to command. In Boiler Room 5, a junior engineer named Herbert Harvey gives the order to draw the fires. This isn't housekeeping. Behind those furnace doors are coal fires that have been burning for 4 days. There is freezing Atlantic water coming through the front of the ship. Cold seawater onto red-hot boiler plate is not a flood. It's an explosion. Barrett goes and finds 15 men. They open the doors and rake the burning coal out onto the plates and hose it down and shovel it clear. Steam and ash and coal dust in a room that is already taking water. It takes about 20 minutes. Then Shepard falls into an open manhole and breaks his leg. Harvey and Barrett pick him up between them and carry him into the pump room. 1:10. A rush of water comes through. Harvey shouts at Barrett to get up the ladder. Barrett goes. He never sees Harvey or Shepard again. Nobody does. And the lights stay on. That's the thing to hold on to. An hour and a half after the sea came into Boiler Room 6, the 4 generating sets aft of the turbine room are still turning. 10,000 bulbs. The boat winches, the wireless. Every lifeboat that got away under electric light. Every distress call that went out on power somebody was still making. They held almost to the end. But by then, some of those engineers weren't below anymore. Frederick Scott watched them come up. So did Thomas Ranger. So did Dillon. That isn't the story on the memorial. 2:18 in the morning. 2 hours and 38 minutes since the sea came into Boiler Room 6. The lights are still on. The bow is under. The stern is lifting out of the water. Somewhere below, men are still feeding steam to 4 generating sets in a compartment that is running out of ship above it. And the bulbs are still burning. They fail about 2 minutes before the end. She goes down at 2:20. More than a century later, a survey company called Magellan mapped the wreck 12,500 feet down. 715,000 photographs, enough to build a full-scale digital copy of the ship, every rivet in place. On the stern, the scan found a steam valve. Fixed, open. Open means steam was still being asked for. Open means somebody was still working when that part of the ship went into the water. It is still open now. Park Stevenson, who analyzed the survey, put it plainly. The power stayed on to the end so the boats could go into the water under light instead of in the dark. National Geographic's summary of the finding was blunter. The 35 men may have saved hundreds of lives while sacrificing their own. 35, that's the whole engineering staff. 25 engineer officers, 6 electrical engineers, 2 boilermakers, a plumber, and a clerk. And be careful about what that valve proves. It proves they were still making steam. It does not prove they were still down there at the end. 25 engineers went down with her. Not one survived. Of 33 greasers, only 4 survived. Of 73 trimmers, about 20 came back. Of something over 160 firemen, fewer than 50. Southampton lost more than 500 men. One town. In the Northam streets, a woman counted off 15 families in her own small neighborhood who had lost a husband or a son. When the recovery ships came out, most of the black gang who were found could not be named. They were logged by their clothing. Probably a fireman. Clothes indicated a greaser. Joseph Bell, the chief engineer, was never identified. Southampton, the 22nd of April 1914. 100,000 people came to watch a memorial go up for a group of men most of them had never met. Sir Archibald Denny unveiled it, and this is what he said about them. They must have known that pumping could do no more than delay the final catastrophe, yet they stuck pluckily to their duty. Driven back from boiler room to boiler room, fighting for every inch of draft to give time for the launching of the boats, not one of those brave officers was saved. Fighting for every inch of draft. Denny was a shipbuilder. He knew exactly what that sentence meant. Keeping the fires drawing, keeping the steam up. In a compartment that was filling, on a ship they already knew was going down, because the alternative was lowering lifeboats into the dark. And that's the part the story usually leaves out. We remember the band, we remember the boats, we remember the iceberg. Every one of those boats went into the water under electric light, and the wireless never stopped, which is the only reason Carpathia knew where to come. Around 700 people came home from that night. Every one of them left a ship that was still switched on. She went down with her lights burning. Ships don't do that by themselves. Those men got a shorter story than they earned. Somebody else got a much bigger one than his evidence supports. Nikola Tesla, separating fact from legend. That one's up now. That's what this channel does. The story everyone knows, checked against the record. Subscribe, and the next one will find you.